David Reddick, Calhoun County NAACP President.
I want to speak on that why. See, this is why we have to learn the way we have to learn. And let's get it right. We're not talking about going too far. We're talking about the process of joining the military. When you're at a Hiroshima and you got 10,000 troops storming a hill with 100,000 enemy troops shooting down at you, you can't think. You have to be conditioned to just listen to the order and do it, and trust that that person that's giving you the order has your best interest in mind. You ain't got time to think about what's going on. You have to be conditioned to make that thing. And when we fight, because of what we go through in basic training and AIT school and everything else, because of the condition we go through and because of how hard it is to complete these tasks, when I'm fighting, when I was out there, you know, and they stopped letting the inspectors in, and we went to war for 3 days in Desert Fox. You know, most people don't remember that, but I was there and I was doing it for that person next to me, and they was doing it for me, and we were doing whatever we was told to do. But my main objective was to make sure that every one of my shipmates made it home alive, that they got to go home and see their wives and their kids and things like that. And that's the why in the military. But that brotherhood is something that you're not going to get by being nice and pleasant. You got to go through something together to be able to stand against a bullet for your brother and jump on a hand grenade for your brother. And it's not, you know, when we out there fighting, we're not thinking about, you know, I'm doing it for America. We think about that when we get home. I'm doing it for that man next to me. I don't want him to die.
Now, David, I didn't mean nice and pleasant, like, you know, sugar plum fairies and gumballs. Mm-hmm. That's not quite what I meant. I meant just treating me as a human being. You're gonna beat me senseless. You're gonna bend me over and paddle me to where the skin falls off.
If you got somebody doing that, they doing something wrong. They need to be ejected. If you got a commander abusing his troops, he's not gonna be there long. And when they find out, he's gonna face punishment. Just like in any organization, if you're doing something wrong and you're found out, it's a price to pay for that. And you're right. And if people are going that far and doing these kind of things, they should pay the price. You pay the piper for what you do.
So I guess my question is, so in other words, do you or do you not agree or tolerate that kind of abusive behavior?
Abuse too far, no. But I believe in the process, and I believe if everybody believes in the process and do the process right, you won't see the abuse on the level that you do now, because, you know, it became a secret, and now, you know, we doing it to each other instead of going through a structured process.
Mr. Ground Nite.
I think we almost need to take the military discussion out, because when they're training in basic training or whatever training that they're going through for the armed forces, that's a very serious purpose. They're training for something that the average man probably cannot do, and that's go
I know
to war.
I can't.
But so, I mean,
I want to be safe right here in the studio.
The process that they go through is good for the purpose that they have to serve.
The abusive process.
An individual may take that process for their own personal gain and twist it to make it something that's not purposeful, that is abusive, that is wrong, that is categorized then as hazing. Hazing is bad. Processes are good. Rites of passage programs are good, but when individuals put their own spin, or as they say, put their own funk on it, then that becomes bad. That's bad. That's hazing. We got to make sure that people understand the definitions of what's going on. Processes that are purposeful, processes that are purposeful. Rites of passage, hazing, bad. And also,
so there is a difference.
There is a difference.
What is the difference?
Hazing is the extreme of. It's basically what I said. Someone putting their personal spin on doing something that there was a purposeful end to some activity that had nothing to do with alcohol consumption, personal servitude, beatings, scaldings, brandings, tattooings, and all the things that's categorized in the definition of hazing that someone decided to take too far. Whether that individual agreed to it or not. Because, you know, you can agree to it, but you can be classified as not in your right mind. My thing is, people just have to understand that we can't conscrew, mix up, twist up, put in a gumbo all these different things that are happening, you know when something is wrong.
You do.
You know, and I mean, honestly, I feel that there's no need for any physical peddling or abuse to join a Greek letter organization. I feel there's no need for someone to be forced to participate in illicit sexual acts in order to join a Greek letter organization. I don't believe that people are to be required to drink till they pass out and possibly die to join a Greek letter organization. You know, those are the things that are hazing.
Jaleesa, as a member of a Greek organization, how do you feel about the situation at FAMU?
Well, like someone lost their life. Like literally, it was taken too far. Like I feel like there's just some things that you should not do. And if you felt like you had to pledge someone to the point where their life was gonna be, you know, up in the air, like it's not worth it. Like seriously, this young man was trying to become the drum major. 26 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. But because of an initiation I come to hear about called the bus, something about the doing with the bus called the bus C or whatever. It's an initiation for a Red Dog Order.
I've heard, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found out when researching the situation or whatnot. Yeah, I feel like it was just taken too far. Like it's ridiculous to be punching someone from the front of the bus to the back. Like it's just ridiculous.
Who in here has ever played sports? Has ever played organized sports?
I play basketball.
You play basketball? Anybody else in the room ever play organized sports? Okay.
I was a nerd.
A nerd? Okay. I tried to, but it didn't work out for me. But you know, hazing goes on also in the world of sports as well. And just to give you some examples, this is courtesy of ESPN. This was at North Branch High School in Michigan, a basketball team. One player was expelled and 6 players were suspended for a series of what police described as terrifying acts at a summer camp. One freshman was allegedly hit in the genitals with a wooden coat hanger, and another one was sprayed with urine from a shampoo bottle, and a third had his face forced into another team's buttocks. 2 coaches lost their job for failing to provide adequate supervision. That is horrifying. Absolutely. Now, I notice everyone in the room's eyes open wide, mouths drop. See, this the kind of stuff, this that really sick stuff.
Ignorant.
That I do. That is horrible. And see, that is why I say you have to stop it even when it's at a smaller level. Because if it doesn't get stopped at the smaller level, it will escalate to things like this. Getting urine squirted at you through a shampoo bottle. What kind of senseless garbage is that? This is no better than paddling somebody till their skin falls off. That is no better. Go ahead, Mr. Selassie.
It's ignorant, man. It is ignorant. And yes, our listening audience, I am using improper English. And I really want to emphasize something. And whether you agree with me or not, well, I'm not even going to put it in an agreeable type situation. I'm just going to throw this out there. You have parents. Parents sometimes may whip their children. Or in my instance, I will admit, I got whoopings. And I did too. It wasn't until later that I understood why. It was part of my process of growing up from a child to an adult. I learned things, and my parents stood in the stead. This is what I feel can really end this situation as far as hazing is concerned. And I'm just going to throw out some lingo right here. What you have, and especially some of your Greek letter organizations, you have neophytes and prophytes. And to make that just simple without going in depth about the whole meaning and everything, neophyte is a new member of the organization, a person just joining. A prophyte is an older member. And what we're seeing today, I've heard
those terms before.
Okay, and in my personal opinion, what we're seeing today is that more prophytes, the older members of the fraternity or sorority, have to become more involved in whatever process is going on. Because again, kids, just be real, kids 18, 19 years old, just still growing themselves, still trying to find who they are. They're not as mature sometimes, and they may do things. And what I'm saying is, more pro fights, quote unquote, have to become more involved in whatever process may be going on in their specific chapter, meaning different universities have different chapters on their campus. They have to be involved in a checks and balances type of system, to where they're making sure that these young members, the neophytes and all of these things of that nature, are not going to the extremes and being irresponsible in a serious process of rites of passage. It's just sad. It's
and that's
ignorant.
what I've been saying. You know, the older people has to be involved in it, but when you make it to where it's wrong, you know, you're gonna kick everybody off campus because they know what's going on. You put it in a position where all you have is, like you say, neophytes raising neophytes. That's like babies raising babies. That's like leaving I don't have kids. That's like somebody leaving their 8-year-old at home to take care of their 5-year-old.
I would never let that happen ever.
We have to get more, like you say, Ron. We have to get more involved. We got to get more involved in our families. We got to get more involved in our fraternities, and we got to get more involved in our local government. It's all part of, it's a community, and we have to realize that, and we have to understand why these things are in place, and educate these young brothers and sisters on how to continue the traditions and make these things that are great, that were meant to be great, that we had to go through a lot to create, to let us know why it's there. And it's
at the end of the day, okay, and you know what, I think everything that everybody said was good. I understand the bond, the togetherness, the forever connection that there is with everyone, I guess the teaching of strength, agility, stamina, tenacity. I get it. I do. I get it. So I guess if I always say that the mission of Late Night with Airmore III is just to bring up a sense of understanding. I want you all to know I understand. I get it. But I also feel that those same sense of connections, those same sense of bonding, and that rite of passage that you all spoke about, that feeling that we all went through this together, so we all have a bond, that's something that'll connect us for the rest of our lives. I still feel that those methods, those feelings can be attained in a more positive manner. I'm still a believer of that. And let me tell you why I'm a believer of that. I'm a believer of that because there are people I have bonds and connections with for years at this point in my life. There are people who I can look back and say, we went through this together, we've gone through that together. And none of those people that I have those connections with include abusive behavior, paddling, getting taken out into the woods somewhere and left there, being taped to a tree and had to get the tape off of me and find my way out of the woods. I have never ever had something like that happen to me, and I don't feel any less of a bond, any less of a connection with these people who I have known for years. That's why I say I have that same love, that same bond, that same. I don't have a biological brother. I have symbolic brothers. As a matter of fact, Ryan Mobley over here, I call him my brother, and he calls me his brother. Me and Ryan haven't been through any hazing ritual together. Me and Ryan didn't have to get our butts kicked in the middle of nowhere and and left for dead. Me and Ryan didn't have to go be taken out to some random location and forced to drink 20 liters of vodka to the point where we passed out. We didn't have to go through any of that. All we had to go through was a sense of understanding with one another. I'm a man, he's a man. We have man-to-man conversations. We have an understanding about the world in the same manner. He understands the world in the same way that I do. And on top of that, he's just a cool guy. Cool guy. I respect him. He respects me. And to me, that is what